Hey everybody, this is the Facebook Ads with the Twang podcast. I'm your host, Ben Blackman, and today we're talking about when it's time to stop blaming your Facebook ad. So here comes episode number 13. Facebook Ads with the Twang is dedicated to taking the often overcomplicated process of creating simple, successful Facebook ads, breaking them down step by step in less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to episode number 13. Really glad to have you. If this is the first time that you've listened to Facebook Ads with the Twang, thank you. I'm taking up valuable time out of your day, and I want to make sure that you receive value from listening to this podcast. And people who've been listening to me for a little while now, thank you for doing that. I can't believe the number of downloads that I've received in such a short period of time since I started this podcast. It's really been kind of crazy. I wasn't expecting that, and I just want to say thanks. So today is going to be, in my opinion, kind of a polarizing topic, because we're going to be talking about when it's time to stop blaming your Facebook ad. And the reason that this came up is because I have clients and who've been with me for a long time, and they are certainly familiar with the ups and downs and cyclical nature of Facebook ads, or any ads for that matter. One week they're doing great, the next week they're not, and that kind of thing. So often what happens is when maybe we're on a week where they're not getting as many sales as they would like, or something along those lines, they'll contact me and they'll say something's wrong with the Facebook ad. That's the first inclination. Without looking at any numbers or anything else, they'll say there's something wrong with the Facebook ad. And so what I'm going to try to talk to you about today is whether or not that's actually true. Is that accurate? And you have to be able to ask yourself some tough questions surrounding this, and those questions have to do with your product and service. Because sometimes it is the Facebook ad, right? Sometimes the Facebook ad just stinks, and that's the problem, and you got to fix it. Okay, but sometimes it's not. What we don't want to do is we don't want to base it on how we feel. We want to base it on data that we have. All right, this is not the place for, does this feel good or look right or whatever. We want to look at the actual numbers, because that's the only thing that matters. And so the question we're going to ask is, how do we know our ads are not working? And do we know what our target numbers are? What is our goal numbers that we're trying to achieve? If you don't have those outlined and defined, then you don't know whether your ads are working or not. You may just be looking at the end result and saying, well, I'm not getting any sales, or whatever, I'm not getting any people register for my webinar. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean your Facebook ad isn't working. So you need to be thinking about things like, what is your click-through ratio? Your CTR for your link clicks. How many people are actually clicking on the ad, right? How many people have actually seen the ad? What's your reach? So you might say, well, I've only gotten 2 clicks. Okay, well, that doesn't tell me anything. You only got 2 clicks. How many people have seen the ad? Well, only 50 people have seen the ad. Well, that's pretty good. If 50 people have seen the ad and 2 people click, that's probably a pretty good thing. Okay, so you have to put that stuff in perspective. The other things that you look at are, what's my cost per click? And then in turn, what's my cost per conversion? And a conversion might be registering for a webinar, or opting in for a lead magnet, or whatever it is. Okay, so those are numbers that you have to define before you ever think about trying to say whether or not your Facebook ad works. And so most people don't plan. They just go ahead and jump right in, and that's okay. I understand jumping right in just to see if it works, because you're hoping for a home run. But when you come back down from that, if it's not working and you don't hit the home run, you need to be able to measure the data. The other thing is do you have enough data? So my example before about you've only been in front of 50 people and you had 2 clicks. Well, that's not enough data to know anything, right? You've got to think about how many people that you're targeting on Facebook. So if your audience is 1 million people, just 1 million, right? That's not even that big. And you've only gotten in front of 50. How in the world would you think, or could you think, that the ad's working or not based on 50 out of 1 million people? Right? I mean, there's just no data there. So you have to have enough data. And I say this all the time, but we often make, big decisions on small numbers. So if you're looking at your ads And one conversion, let's just say a webinar registration, one webinar registration would have made the difference between a winning Facebook ad and a losing Facebook ad. Then you don't have enough numbers. You can't have it that narrow. That doesn't leave any room for error. There's not enough margin there. You know, even 5 or 10, I mean, there's just not enough there. You have to have enough data to make a reasonable decision. All right. And what that data is going to do is that's going to help us find where the broken part is. And so the next little thing I wanted to kind of mention is, did you do market research before you ever ran your ads? All right. In other words, did you fall in love with your product or service before you did any research to see if people were going to buy it? Or did you just, you know, get excited about it and put it out there? And so if you didn't do any research, it doesn't mean it won't work. Okay. And I'm not telling people not to follow their passion and what they love. What I'm saying is that if you're putting out something that nobody else is selling, that you can't find a competitor for, then you're going to have to generate interest in that. And that is a hard thing to do from the ground up. And you're probably going to spend a lot more money in the beginning, especially trying to figure that out and showing people how that looks. So, once you understand what your product or service may be, what you want to do is validate it. Make sure that you can find people who are actually willing to give you money for it, even if it's a smaller amount of money. If people are willing to give some of their money for that product or service, then I would move forward. All right. I wouldn't go out there creating a bunch of stuff and then just to find out that nobody wants to buy it, or nobody wants to buy it at an amount that's going to make it worth it for you. All right. So do your market research before you ever run an ad. Okay. So let's just go over a few things that it could be other than the ad, right? So maybe it's the landing page. Right, so you're sending them to, people are clicking on the ad and you're sending them to a landing page for a webinar or a lead magnet or sales page or whatever it is. Maybe that landing page just stinks. Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe it's not compelling. There's lots of things there. So you need to understand if those metrics on the landing page are telling you that, hey, the landing page isn't working, right? The next thing it could be is maybe it's the lead magnet. Right, maybe you're trying to get them to opt into the lead magnet, but maybe the lead magnet's just not that compelling, right? So a lot of people throw ebooks out there. Well, ebooks it's really hard to make a lead magnet for an ebook work, even though it's free. I have people say, but it's free. Well, it doesn't matter, it's free. You're asking them for their email address. You better be giving them some great value, all right? People are hesitant to give up their email address because they know what's coming. Okay. It could be your webinar. So maybe you do the webinar, but you can't, your webinar presentation skills need to be improved, right? Or your closing skills on the webinar need to be improved. Well, that has nothing to do with the ad. The ad did its job. It got them to the registration and got people registered, but you couldn't do your part of it. So, you have to examine that and be willing to take a hard look at it. Do you need to improve that? Some other things that to think about are, maybe it's your follow-up sequence, right? Maybe your email follow-up sequence, you're getting people on the list, but nobody's buying, but because you're not staying in contact with them through your email, right? You're not engaging with them in a way that they want to be engaged. Pay attention to your follow-up sequence. And one other thing I wanted to kind of mention to you is your offer. Do you have a really great offer? If it's not just an amazing offer, then the Facebook ad is not going to help you change that, right? You don't want to have a great Facebook ad and a mediocre offer. Okay, that's not going to work. All right. So, if you know that you're targeting the right people on your Facebook, if you know you have really good copy and a great image or video, if you're like, I know this stuff is really good, but you're not getting the results that you want, then you need to take a look at other things other than your ad. And so that's really where I was going with this whole episode. Now, I hope all that made sense. You can always reach out to me, or you can run in and join my closed Facebook group, Funnel Strategies for Facebook. There'll be a link in it, a link to it in the show notes. Right now it's free. I am going to be charging for it though, but if you get in now while it's free, you won't ever get charged. But I'm going to start charging for that in the not too distant future. I hope by the end of the month, actually. So I hope this was beneficial. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. And again, thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys on the next episode. See you then.